This is Ethan, and I'm here with Dave, and together we are Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 251-inch.
On this episode, we interview veteran actor Patrick Thomas O'Brien, who portrayed Satan in the Town Talk segment of UHF.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
It's a podcast about Weird Al.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Seriously, the whole podcast is about Weird Al.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
You don't have to listen, but we're glad you are.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Hello, Dave, and hello to our wonderful listeners. Welcome to the year of our Weird Lord 2025. Welcome to episode 251-inch.
Thank you very much, Ethan, and a happy new year to everyone listening as well. You know, I was very happy to finally listen to the song from Weird Al, Jimmy Fallon, and The Roots, New Year's Eve Polka, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, on New Year's Eve, directly at midnight.
That is simply the most appropriate time to listen. I cannot wait until next New Year's Eve so I can listen to it once again.
Me too. I cannot wait. Oh, and speaking of New Year's Eve and the brand new year, have you made any New Year's resolutions?
Yes, in 2025, I plan to visit every state of the United States of America, even if a couple are added, run a marathon, visit the moon, learn to play accordion, translate Moby Dick into Swahili, win an Oscar, climb Mount Everest, and wake up before noon on the weekends.
Wow. You know what? It's very smart to set reasonable and achievable goals.
I know, right?
You know, all that sounds absolutely wonderful, but seeing as you should easily wrap up those by the end of January, what do you plan to do in February?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't really thought that far ahead. Have you made any resolutions?
Just one. I plan to finish recording episode 251-inch of Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast and have intern Frank edit it and post it on January 8th, 2025.
Dave, didn't we just mention the importance of having reasonable and achievable goals?
Do you think that's too much?
Just a bit.
Okay. I plan to finish this sentence.
Great job, Dave.
Thank you. I feel so accomplished.
Well, while we're on a high note, here's something else that should take less than a year to complete. It's time for What's Happening in Weird Al-Related News!
Just mere hours after episode 250-inch of Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast was published, where we talked about two different Jeopardy episodes that mentioned Weird Al from the week previous, Weird Al uploaded those clips on his social media.
When Weird Al didn't post about them sooner to when they actually aired, we figured he wasn't aware of them.
Notice how we specifically mentioned the episode, air date, round, category, and question value?
You're welcome, Weird Al. Happy to provide you with news about you.
That's kind of the whole point, isn't it?
Of course. I mean, how else would Weird Al have known about the GalaxyCon Roundtable?
And he had no idea who else was at the Comic Relief show because he was Sylvester Stallone right up until his performance at the end of the show.
That's right. And remember when we reminded him about his and his wife Suzanne's wedding anniversary?
Oh, and remember when we reminded him how to tie his shoes?
Again, from all of us here at Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, you're welcome, Weird Al. What would you do without us?
Weird Al's name has once again come up in conversations regarding the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
When asked about Weird Al in an interview with Vulture, John Sykes, the chairman of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, said, "He's a genius."
Ooh, that's good, right?
Well, he then continued by saying he has made brilliant versions of the songs, but I'll be honest, he's never made it close to the ballot.
Wow, that's a little surprising to hear, but I guess John Sykes just knows more about rock and roll than we do.
Oh, for sure. You know, like how they inducted Eminem into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame a few years ago. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. All I'm saying is, I don't know what that guy is saying.
Hey, Mr. Sykes don't owe nobody in the Weird Al fan community nothing.
Wow, that's a triple negative. Does that mean that he does? You know what? Never mind. From all of us here at Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, we strongly disagree with Mr. Sykes' assessment and hope to one day see Al deservedly inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And if not, well, I mean, he already has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame given to him by his fans in one of the most well-attended star ceremonies in history. And honestly, more people are going to see that than whatever they do for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Very well spoken. Well, speaking of rap, we're going to have to wrap up this little news segment.
Excellent, because it's just about time that we talk about night again.
You've got a little potty mouth, don't you?
I don't believe that nobody cannot swear.
You don't believe that nobody cannot swear? Wow, another triple negative.
Anyway, in case you missed it, Weird Al recently shared a clip of Amy Adams singing Dare to Be Stupid from the movie Night, let's say, Biatch.
Spoilers!
Okay, fair enough. In that case, I won't tell you which lyrics she changes as she sings along to it in her car.
Thank you, I really appreciate that.
You can check out the clip on Weird Al's social media, or you can stream Night Biatch right now on Hulu.
Attention listeners in or near Fresno, California. SenCal Cinema will be kicking off a brand new film series with a screening of the 1989 masterpiece, UHF.
The screening is free to attend and will be happening on Friday, January 25th at CMAC in Fresno.
Furthermore, a Weird Al lookalike contest will be held to give fans an opportunity to be recognized for their fandom.
For more information about the screening, you can follow at CENCAL Cinema on social media.
And if you attend, be sure to cheer extra loudly during the Town Talk with George segment.
I mean, not that I disagree with that, but why would you single out that specific segment?
You will see very shortly.
Okay, fair enough.
Past guest and friend of the podcast, Joe Bohannon, shared that Weird Al's name came up once again as a clue in the January 5th edition of the New York Times crossword puzzle.
The clue for 67 Down was Weird Al Yankovic's parody of the song Lola.
Let's see. Ayatollah, Hispaniola, Coca-Cola, Viola, Granola, Ebola. A little help here, please.
Okay, I'll give you a hint, Dave. He's wrinkled and green.
Kermit the Frog? That doesn't even rhyme.
You know what? Never mind. Moving on. Because this episode is brought to you in part by vegan burrito restaurant Burrito Burrito, home of the 2-pound double wrapped in a quesadilla Burrito and Wizard Burger in Albany, New York. Coming down to Burrito and Burrito and Wizard Burger for mouthwatering loaded, dare I say beefy, vegan burgers. From Albany to Dagobah, Burrito and Wizard Burger feed the hungry with out-of-this-world, plant-based, real food, always vegan style. Visit burritosquare.com and wizardburger.com to order ahead.
Our listener Chris Schott shared the news with us that the student-run radio station WWSP 90 FM out of Stevens Point, Wisconsin is celebrating Weird Al with 24 hours of his music.
The event kicks off at 6 a.m. Twine Ball time on February 15th and is exclusive to their FM radio broadcast.
Alternatively, you can listen to Weird Al's music 24 hours straight without driving to Wisconsin anytime you want.
For more information on the radio station, you can check out 90fm.org.
Now, there have been a few bootleg, super sketchy Weird Al merchandise sites popping up over the past month or so we just wanted to take a moment to remind everyone that the only place to get official Weird Al merchandise is at weirdal.com.
On one of these bootleg merchandise websites shared with us from close personal friend William King, they had blatant ripoffs of Weird Al merch designs and other very questionable graphics.
Now, these are hilarious, so let's quickly run through some of the more bizarre designs, including, up first, a Weird Al 1982 Afghanistan tour shirt.
I don't remember Weird Al touring Afghanistan in 1982, but I could be wrong. Now, there's also a shirt with a photo of Weird Al with the caption, "You got me stranded on the Bungee Tower of Love." Not quite sure what that means.
Some things are best left unexplained. Now, there's also one with Weird Al from the I Love Rocky Road cover with the caption, "I'm very analytical, I'm very precise."
I am wondering what sort of AI wrote these very weird things. Now, the last one we'll talk about is a highly offensive, poorly drawn crayon depiction of Weird Al with the caption, which you would never find on Weird Al's actual merchandise site, saying, "I'm weird as a mother," and then an expletive starting with the letter F that I'll let you fill in the blank for.
Absolutely crazy. Now, in a similar fashion, our friend Isaiah Ferguson alerted us that there are listings on StubHub promoting tickets for Weird Al's concert at the Ford in Hollywood on Thursday, September 4th.
Now, the only problem is Weird Al is performing at Ford Amphitheater in Colorado Springs, Colorado on that same day, September 4th, 2025.
So be extra careful when buying tickets from websites not linked on WeirdAl.com or from anyone online that you personally do not know.
Now, if tickets are posted for sale in our Facebook group over at group.2000inch.com, Dave or myself will post a comment letting you know if we personally know and or trust the seller.
Well, now it's time for what's happening in Z2 Comics' supposed Weird Al branded mini accordion related news.
Oh, yes, Dave, on our last episode, we promised listeners an update if and when anything changed on the status of your still not shipped Weird Al branded mini accordion that was number of years late. So, Dave, do you have an update?
Believe it or not, I actually have an update.
Whoa!
I know, right? Okay, so shortly after our last episode dropped, I finally received my shipping notice that my Weird Al branded mini accordion has shipped.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the key is we need to release an episode where we call out Z2 Comics for something for it to actually happen over at Z2 Comics. Oh, actually, yeah, that sounds really familiar.
Well, we won't have to do that anymore. We can start releasing episodes effective immediately because as of December 23rd, 2024, I have officially received my Z2 Comics Weird Al branded mini accordion, the last outstanding item from the order I placed way back in early to mid 2022.
Hooray! The nightmare's over! Well, Dave, now that you've seen it in person, what do you think?
Well, it's an off-the-shelf toy accordion with some stickers on it.
Yeah, but the box is cool, right?
Yeah, the box is cool.
So, was this worth the wait?
No.
Does this whole thing make you feel like we were all scammed?
Yeah, kinda.
Should we ever talk about Z2 Comics on the podcast ever again?
Gotta pass.
Well, now we're on to some lighter topics as we present our interview with Satan!
If you have turned on the TV at all in the past 35 years or went to the movies, you will recognize our next guest. He's an amazing actor with over 100 credits to his name. Everything from Saved by the Bell, Married with Children, Catch Me If You Can, The Brady Bunch movie, and of course, he played Satan in the Town Talk segment of UHF. We are absolutely pleased to welcome Patrick Thomas O'Brien to the podcast. Welcome, Patrick.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
We are so happy to chat with you, and what an iconic part of UHF. I mean, you mentioned, hey, the guy who played Satan in UHF, and everyone will know exactly what we're talking about.
Yes.
Really? I mean, it's 2 seconds. For God's sake.
Well, we run in very interesting circles, Patrick.
Yeah. It was a memorable 2 seconds. It was a good funny bit. Yeah.
Well, it's certainly one of our, if not our favorite movie, and I know a lot of our listeners feel the same way. So we would just love to hear every piece of it. And I guess to start off, how did you get involved with the project?
My agent called and said, "Hey, I got an audition for you. Be out at," and I can't remember where it was, but be here at a certain time and audition. Here's your line. Here are your words. It wasn't even a full line.
Right.
And do your best. And so that's how you get it. You audition, with an agent.
Now, when you said you don't remember where it was filmed, but...
Yeah, let me know. You guys know all about it. So where was it filmed? I'm just curious.
Majority of UHF was filmed in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but I was wondering if they flew you out to Tulsa for that or if you did something
no.
local. Yeah.
No, it was in L.A. or yeah. Can't remember where though. What studio?
Do you have any memory of the audition? Was Al there? Was Jay Levy there? Were there other people there for Satan?
I have to admit, I do not remember the audition at all. Yeah.
Are you the type of actor? Did you show up with red face paint, or do you have any thought of what you may have done?
I can't remember that either. No, I'm sure I didn't. I didn't do red face paint. But,
was there any inner turmoil about portraying such a nasty character?
None whatsoever. I'm a member of the Satanic Temple.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
There you go.
Oh, that's good advertising then.
Yeah. Not really. Actually, I did as a goof. I'm a non-believer. It's not that I don't believe in a Satan, but I don't know. On a goof, my friend and I, we both signed up for. Is it the Satanic Temple or there's another one similar to that?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know which what it's officially called, but yeah.
Yeah. And again, they do not believe in Satan.
Right.
Satanists do not believe in Satan for the most part. So,
oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Was that because of your role in UHF, or was that just an unrelated goof with you and your friend?
Well, who knows? It might have been related. About 2 decades after the fact of doing Satan. I don't know.
Now, I know it's been a while since UHF's been filmed, but do you remember, or can you imagine what the conversation was with your agent? Did he say, "Oh, you're going to be playing Satan," or did he just say, "Hey, you're going to have a role for you. Let's just go audition"?
I really can't remember.
That's fair.
I'm just going on, what probably happened, because, there's not that much communication, at my level, especially at that time. Your agent isn't paying that much attention to you. You get they get the call that they want to see, a certain person, and give them a call and make it as quick as possible. Hey, you got an audition, blah, blah, blah. And I always thought of myself or tried to be a how should I put it, a low maintenance actor. Right. I didn't keep them on the phone for a long time, and because they're always ready to go to the next person on the list with their phone calls. So yeah, that's back in the day when they used to make. Now it's all, you get an email or something and notifying you. But back then it was all, pick up the phone and call and hope the actor's at home. And
now, do you have any thought of if they would have told you that it was a Weird Al movie, or do you think they would have just said, "Hey, we have a role"?
No, I'm pretty sure they would have mentioned Weird Al.
So were you aware of Weird Al? Were you a fan of him? Or
well, this is kind of what. Let me get to the heart of my memory here of the experience. And I knew about Weird Al, but not much.
Yeah.
I know he had, you can, you probably know more of this. Certainly know more about this than I do, but he had maybe a couple of songs by then that were kind of big hits.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know that he was necessarily seen as the comedy music icon he is these days. So it's still early enough in his career that I wouldn't have been surprised if you said you weren't familiar with him at that time.
And I think I might have been familiar because, tell me if I'm wrong, but his dad was also Al Yankovic, wasn't it? Or some name Yankovic, and played the accordion and had a band.
Yeah, and that's a common misconception there, Patrick, because I know you're thinking of Frankie Yankovic, who was a polka music icon, but believe it or not, there actually is no relationship between Weird Al Yankovic and Frankie Yankovic. Although everybody seems to think so, and it makes sense. They both play accordion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, learn something new every decade.
I do think having the same last name as Frankie Yankovic is what urged his parents to start him with the accordion. But yes, no actual family relation. But they did perform together a couple times and recorded a song together. So,
but all right, but maybe that is something that when I heard of him, of Al, that it triggered. Well, I know that name, and he used to play on Sunday morning on the TV in my town. Or his relative did or something. But like I was getting back, but I remember going in to do the job, And it was a little disorganized, if I remember. It seemed, not that I had done hardly any high budget movies, but it seemed low budget to me. And the only person who was kind of hanging around was this lovely young lady. And so I kind of, hey, how are you doing? And introduced myself. And she, I think, introduced herself as Al's girlfriend.
Oh, interesting.
I said, oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I said, and I kind of said, well, so tell me about Al. I mean, I've heard of him, but that's what does he do really? There's a couple of goofy songs or funny, clever songs that he's done, but what? And she kind of took offense at that, as if I should have known more. I mean, and like she was going on like, oh man, he's just a genius. I mean, you just wait and see. And she was a little, I don't know, she was a little short not short with me. I mean, she wanted to impress upon me, what a genius boyfriend. Yeah. And indeed, she was right, But great. And went along with her, and indeed, sure. Turned out to be the case.
That's awesome.
So, but that's my biggest memory. Well, and then getting the water tossed on me, of course, was a big memory. But but that's the one thing that I really remember of the periphery of the experience.
Right.
And do you remember actually meeting Weird Al after that? You were in the same scene with him, so I assume you met him before you actually started filming.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And
explained everything, yeah. Sorry, I'm going to have to do this, pal, but that's showbiz.
When you met the woman who was supposedly his girlfriend, were you in makeup and in the mask and the costume, or were you just regular Patrick at that point?
I think I was just waiting around, waiting for the staff to notice that I was there and get me into makeup and wardrobe and everything. Yeah, I think I was just hanging out.
Was there any kind of mask, or was it all makeup? Do you have any recollection there?
No, I think it was just probably some kind of Halloween costume.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was kind of low budget, but no, I just remember it was not a mask or anything. But they painted my face red, and then this kind of hoodie, this tight hood thing, and a cape. But and I think you go back to the audition. I'm pretty sure, they didn't really have a concept for Satan, what he should be like.
For the half a line.
Yeah. And I thought, well, because that was about the same time as Saved by the Bell, correct?
Yeah, just about, yeah.
Saved by the Bell was 89 or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'd been doing that very kind of, what's the word? Meek and, what's the opposite of authoritative? Average guy, he's harmless, So I thought, well, that'd be kind of funny just to go the opposite way of consider Satan to be. So that's how I auditioned, and that's how a lot of times they don't have a concept of the actual character. So you just kind of have to, take a chance and think, well, let's try this and see how it goes. And I think that's that approach of, just being a kind of a wallflowery kind of guy. It worked anyway.
Yeah.
So
Is this something where you're going to the premiere and you maybe even saw it in theaters, or is?
Yeah. I went to the premiere.
Oh wow!
And I thought it was. I wasn't expecting much, to be honest, but it was funny. It was good. And what I remember is mostly was Michael Richards.
Oh yeah.
And when they they went through the cast before to introduce the cast and the movie, and he got this huge applause from everyone. And I thought, well, who's this guy? Because that was his, correct me if I'm wrong, that was his first movie, wasn't it? He had been doing kind of sketch comedy on, what was the name of that show? Thursdays or something?
Right. Yeah,
or
Fridays, yep.
Fridays. Yeah, but I never watched it. But geez, I thought he was good in this show.
Oh, yeah.
And of course went on to Seinfeld and other things.
Right.
So but that's what I remember most, how because I didn't have any scenes with her. I didn't have any scenes with anyone other than Hal. But I didn't know what it was going to be at all. And you rarely get the script. That, if you have a very small part, they don't hand it out. So I'm pretty sure I didn't know what the show is all about.
Right.
But yeah, Michael Richards, boy, he was funny.
So going back to the day where you were filming, how many times did Weird Al actually have to throw water in your face? Was that a one and done thing, or is that multiple takes?
There was multiple takes.
Oh boy!
And when I tell the story, I always embellish, of course. Because once in a while, Al will come up on my Facebook feed. It's an article about Al, and people are making comments, and I'll write in there, yeah, Weird Al once threw a glass of water. And then, of course, people respond, what? Hey, what? And then I'll post a link to the picture or the actual scene, or the little 2 seconds, under that, then that just kind of explains everything. And I'll write in there, 19 takes or something like that. But it wasn't 19. It was fewer than I was expecting.
Oh yeah.
Because I think, if I remember correctly, wardrobe had to come in every time after they threw the water, and with a hair dryer, or they mopped me off, and then with a hair, because I think they only had, maybe there was a backup. I only had one costume, and they had to dry it off with a hair dryer, so there'd be a few minutes in between the next take, and he would. I said, yeah, I think there was only like a half a dozen takes, and usually it's a lot more than that. But.
Wow.
So did they have to keep reapplying your makeup after each take, or was it special movie makeup that kept it from smudging and dripping off?
I can't remember that, but yeah, I remember, wardrobe and makeup would come up. I don't know if they had to reapply anything, but they probably did, or had to touch.
That's so great.
Going from scratch every time, that's
right.
for sure.
Patrick, were there more lines in there than what we've seen? I mean, rewatching the scene today, I have your line as, look, all I was trying to say... Was there more? Was there anything edited out, or was that just what it was?
I think that was all of it.
Amazing.
Can't say for sure, but I think that was all of it.
Wow. Well, what an amazing experience getting Weird Al to throw water in your face. That's kind of like, I think that should be on our goal list, Ethan. We should have Weird Al try to throw water in our face next time we're on a movie set with him.
There you go.
Well, technically, Dave, you have had Weird Al throw water at you.
That's true. I actually have at a concert. I had Weird Al threw water in my face. So you and I have something in common there, Patrick.
How did that come about?
Believe it or not, it actually has happened twice. He has this song called Smells Like Nirvana, and it's a parody of Smells Like Teen Spirit, the Nirvana song. And it's basically how no one can understand the lyrics of the original song. And to emphasize the point, he gargles water up on stage for one of the lines. And I'm a pretty big Weird Al fan, as is Ethan. And Weird Al tends to notice when some of his bigger Weird Al fans are in the audience. Oh. He sees me sitting there in the front row after he's done gargling his water, and he's a full cup of cold water, and he just throws it in my face.
And Dave didn't get paid for that, but he probably enjoyed it more than you did, Patrick, getting paid.
Well, if that's the thing, a little...
I'm sure it was inspired by the scene in UHF. He must have thought I was Satan or something. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, I bet Patrick is the first person who had water thrown in his face by Al, because it did come many years before that song. So, Patrick, I think you're the originator here.
All right.
And at some point, to make this full circle, Patrick, if you and I ever meet, you have permission to throw water in my face as well.
All right. It's an improv show, right? An improv show you're coming to that you do.
That's this one. That's me. Unfortunately, you don't.
You have permission to throw water in Ethan's face.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Only Dave.
I think we've pretty much touched on all we can on UHF, your little 2-second clip, as you keep saying. It was a very iconic clip. A lot of people enjoy that clip, the Town Talk clip with George. And as Ethan said, as soon as you hear the word Satan and UHF together, you immediately think of your amazing scene there. Everyone knows what we're talking about.
I Googled, in preparation of this, Satan on whatever. And there weren't that many, the UHF popped right up. There weren't that many. Anyway, I thought it seemed like there would have been a whole, a lot of, a big list of people playing Satan, but it didn't seem like there were that many.
Yeah, that's true. There's probably not that many actors who actually get to say they got to play Satan as well. Well, another one of the iconic actors that you got to play, and this is one of my absolute favorite TV shows of all time, Saved by the Bell, Mr. Dewey, the math teacher. What can you tell us about Mr. Dewey and playing Mr. Dewey?
Well, again, it was about that same time, and I was kind of busy then. I had just gotten to LA in early '87, and I got quite a few parts. Boom, boom, boom. So again, I wasn't paying that much attention.
Oh, okay.
Well, not thinking that, geez, 30 years later, it's still a thing.
Yeah.
Not quite, in the past 5 years, it's really faded. But God, 10, 15 years ago, a guy opened up a Saved by the Max restaurant in Chicago and invited me down to Chicago to be to be there for people to pictures with and stuff.
How cool.
And I was amazed that Saved by the Bell was just still hanging on, because it's have you ever gone back and watched some? It's pretty half-assed show.
That's what I love about it. But I did go back recently and binge Saved by the Bell and the new class, the new reboot,
Yeah.
which you're also in, Mr. Dewey.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh, who just was in the news.
Yeah.
If you remember, if you follow football at all, he just took a new job coaching someplace, I think.
Very cool.
Yeah, memory for that. That one I do remember. Yeah, they called, they got Jim Harbaugh on, and he was a big name at the time, so that was cool. And I hadn't done, a Saved by the Bell in a long time, so it was, it stuck in my memory. And one thing that really stuck in my memory was poor Screech, blanking on his name.
Dustin Diamond, yeah.
Well, I think he was in the depths of his troubles or whatever, because, he didn't have that many lines in the episode, but he just couldn't get the lines, or he didn't care about the lines being accurate. And he was just goofing up from take after take after take. And Jim Harbaugh came in and with his lines down, and he hit a spot, and he wanted to get in there and get out, I think. He was doing his little bit, and he was going to leave, and he was really getting aggravated at Dustin, at the supposed pro couldn't, and the director was getting kind of pissed off, and yeah, it's kind of too bad what happened to Dustin.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I remember most about the new class, and also with the regular show. Yeah, Dustin was. He was younger than everyone. He was always trying too hard, I think, to fit in. Yeah. But he was a nice guy, Another little odd thing, I lived in Burbank at the time, and there was a Toys R Us there. And we had kids, later on in the early 90s. And so we'd go to Toys R Us, fairly regularly. And a couple of times, Dustin was just kind of hanging out.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, wow.
By the entrance. Well, at least once. I shouldn't say a couple times. I remember, hey, there's Dustin Tossman. I went up to him, hey, yeah, Mr. Dewey, yeah. One of those, good to see you. But I was wondering, what's he doing there? And it was almost like he was hanging out just to be seen. It had a few years since Saved by the Bell. Or, I think he gave a little excuse. Yeah, I'm waiting for my niece or nephew or something like that to come by. But I don't know. It just seemed odd.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, sad.
Did you have a lot of interaction with the other kids on the show, or were you pretty much hanging out with the adults like Mr. Belding and so forth?
Yeah, I'm not that outgoing of an actor as most actors. Most actors are, outgoing people, but I'm more, reticent and an introvert. So I would just pretty much hang out in my dressing room,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Oh, okay.
But the first season was really interesting in that, we did it at NBC, and it was in our studio was right across the hall from the Tonight Show studio.
Oh, wow.
Boom, and you could look. There was a guard there at the door, but you could, if you got to know the guard, you kind of could peek in at. Well, most of the time it was Jay Leno who was hosting the show at the time, but Johnny would be there and he'd poking in, trying to look at what was going on in there, and but the hallway underneath, it was the hallway where the dressing rooms were underneath the stages, and there'd be, and the other, the stars of the guest stars on the Tonight Show would be hanging out in their dressing rooms as well. So, yeah, I just remember seeing, names and knees are the first to go. Well, Hermit the Frog, help me
Jim
out.
Henson?
Yeah, Jim Henson.
Wow.
He had just, he was still sick at the time, but there were the puppets, laying on the desk. Yeah, and so I snuck in there. Oh, look at that! There's people. But the guests of the Tonight Show would be there, in the dressing rooms right across the hall from us. You'd see them. Yeah, and Jay, he was a gregarious fella. He'd be holding court, talking to the cast, and he was a good guy.
That's awesome.
I feel like you should have had your own private dressing room at NBC, because I feel like you've been on every single NBC sitcom that they've ever had at some point.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's true. I did quite a bit at NBC. I'm not sure. I think it was probably from Saved by the Bell was probably the first one. And from that, I think, well, in fact, here we go with names again. God, it's true. I mean, I'm getting old. Had a stroke a few months ago.
Oh,
actually,
sorry to hear that.
It was a minor one, but okay. The guy, the head of NBC at the time, and he just turned NBC around.
Oh, is it Brandon Tartikoff?
Brandon Tartikoff, good guy too, really good guy. And I was called in to NBC. It was on a weekend, which was weird, to audition for a pilot, a nerd family. It was called Smell the Roses.
Oh, okay.
And I played the nerd dad and the nerd kids, and that was before nerds were a thing, really. And this was kind of groundbreaking. And Brandon Tartikoff was the head of NBC, but there he was at this callback.
Oh, wow.
Which very weird. But then I found out later that the two guys who wrote the pilot, he went to school with.
Oh, cool.
Ah, okay.
Guy, and so he was kind of helping them out. Obviously it didn't get picked up or anything, but I'm going in there, and I got there early, and Brandon Tartikoff, sticks his head out and said, "Hey, you want to watch the game?" Because there was a football game going on, and I said, "Well, sure, so come on in." So I went into Brandon Tartikoff's office, and there the two writers were there. "Here, want a beer?" Sure. And we're watching some playoff game at the time, if I remember correctly. And how'd we get off on that? I feel like Grandpa sometimes.
I think just talking about all the shows you've been on.
Oh, but yeah, the Saved by the Bell. Yeah, and the NBC connection. Yeah, so I think, and Brandon, of course, would come on the set of Saved by the Bell.
Really?
He made appearance that time.
Oh, that's right.
He played, I think it was the Do Not Do Drugs or something episode or something. I'm so excited episode.
Yes.
But Yeah, because Saved by the Bell didn't start off as a big hit, and I did 2, 3 episodes in that first season, and I remember in this one episode, it was anyway they were going to announce if they were going to be picked up for another 13 episodes or whatever, and Brandon was there on the set, and he kind of gathered everyone together, the main cast anyway, and announced, yes, we're going to go on to, we're going to continue anyway with this show.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason was he had 2 daughters who were, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years old, and they just loved the show. Getting ratings, and the general populace of 8 and 9 or 10-year-olds weren't watching the show that much. But Brandon thought, well, if my kids and their friends, their little friends, they love the show as well. If my kids like it, there's got to be something there. So he was the one and his daughters that made Saved by the Bell, what it was actually, by keeping it going when it wasn't doing all that well.
Amazing.
So
That's so cool.
It took an interest in the show more so than the head of NBC would, I think.
Yeah.
And so, I think he tossed a couple of bones in my direction, including this Smell the Roses show.
Wow.
Which I did get, by the way. I was able to do the pilot. But yeah, a couple of them that I didn't even have. Oh, what was that one? Pretty sure that was NBC as well. It had the guy from Amen in it. It was a movie, made-for-TV movie, though. I didn't even have to audition for that. I was just surprised. Hey, they want to use me for this movie of the week, and not movie of the week, but made-for-TV movie, which was the first time that ever happened. Because anyway, but yeah, you're right. There were a string of NBC TV shows that I did.
Patrick, there's a lot of things you did that are really exciting to me as well, and I think the most excited credit I saw for TV was Sliders. I loved that show. Do you have any memory of working on that one?
Yeah, that was the one. I was in a bar, right?
It's the one with Jerry O'Connell, and they go to different dimensions each episode.
Yeah, but I was thinking that I was in a tavern or a bar.
Okay.
Can't remember you don't actually remember the scene,
I don't,
do you?
No.
Yeah, you're just looking at IMDb, right?
I'm sure I've seen it. I just, I don't know offhand.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Can't help you out much there with an anecdote about
That's fine. Patrick, I want to ask you about the Brady Bunch movie, because Weird Al has a song, The Brady Bunch, and of course it's a beloved series, and you're in the Brady Bunch movie.
Yeah. I played the auctioneer or something.
Yep.
They were going to auction off the house, if I
That's
remember
right, yes.
correctly. Yeah, and also, if I remember correctly, I never got to do any auctioneer kind of stuff. I think I was cut off by was it Michael McKean, who came on, and he was the evil evil real estate agent or something.
That's right. Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
But yeah, it was shot out in this area of Los Angeles that had tract homes of the Brady Bunch era, and it was identical. I don't think it was the house that they used for the establishing shot, because it was shot in a studio, the actual
right.
But anyway, it was an identical home to the actual Brady Bunch home. But that was kind of interesting, just hanging out on that street,
right.
That's always interesting in LA when they close off a street or something to do a shoot.
Right.
And they did that for that movie, of course, and the neighbors peek out and come out. And there's always some neighbor who wants to get on camera and have people, giving them, here, give you $20 if you stay out of the way. But yeah, that was going on quite a bit, I think, for that shoot. But to Michael McKean, to see him in Spinal Tap later, that was cool too. Because isn't that they're going to redo? Aren't they doing another Spinal
They're
Tap?
doing a sequel, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm excited
yeah.
for that.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
You know, what's really amazing is you have a scene with Michael McKean, and Dave and I also have a scene with Michael McKean in Weird Al's newest movie, Weird the Al Yankovic Story, where we play tough bikers in a bar, and he is in the scene, and we actually briefly interacted with him on set. So yet another similarity between our two careers: the water in the face and being in a Weird Al movie, and Michael McKean.
So when does that come out? It hasn't.
Yeah,
come out, hasn't
it
it?
came out a couple of years ago. It's very fun.
Geez.
Yeah. No Satan in the movie though.
How was it? How was it received?
Very great. Yeah, everyone loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very well. It ended up winning an Emmy Award, too.
2 of them. Yeah.
Really? So it made for TV.
Made for TV, yes. It was on the Roku channel, which
I'll have to look that up.
yeah, it's streaming mostly, but yeah, you can watch it on TV too. It's out now on DVD, Blu-ray, everything. We very well promote it because we're the stars of the movie.
That's
of
right.
course.
Well, sure. Yeah. Well, what, did you have lines and everything, you say? Or what?
No lines. We just
No lines, no lines.
just featured
but
action. We didn't need lines. We're just such good actors. Our face says everything.
Yeah.
We did all of our acting with our face and our movements.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So
It was a lot
you
of fun.
guys and Al hang out, though, huh? You're a thing. You're an item.
Yeah, we
Three of you? Yeah.
costs a lot of money to be in the same room as Al, but we pay it and we go see him on tour, and
Oh, all right. Oh, yeah.
we have a lot of
Hey,
fun.
I'll say anytime that Weird Al wants to put us into one of his movies, we're for it.
Yeah, there you go. Is he still married to or did he ever get married to the? I think she was a girlfriend at the time, but maybe they were married.
Yeah, he's married
What?
now, but he was. I don't think he's married to that girlfriend. That was an older girlfriend. He met his wife many years later, but yes, he's happily married for many years and has a grown-up daughter as well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, Patrick, before we let you go, I understand you live in Minnesota, and Weird Al fans and people who own the UHF soundtrack know about the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota, in Darwin. Have you ever visited the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota with your time in Minnesota?
I have heard of it, but I have never visited. I'm sorry to say.
Oh, well, what a bummer. You got to check it out. It's
Yeah. Well, if you're ever in Hayward, Wisconsin, they have the world's largest muskie. They've got this huge muskie. You know what a muskie is, right? The fish.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
You know what a muskie is, though?
No,
Oh, it's the largest freshwater fish, I believe. Muskellunge, muskie. They get up to 50, 60 pounds, the world record. Anyway, in Hayward, Wisconsin, which is in northern Wisconsin, and where all the lakes are, there's this huge muskie, side of the road attraction where you can go in and you go in the mouth or something and you actually come out the exit.
Well, I'm going to have to go next time I'm in the area.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Well, Hayward's, that's quite the vacation
Yeah.
area. Yeah, good fishing up there. Yeah. In the North Woods. That's a beautiful area. Yeah.
That sounds great.
How'd we get off on that? Here we go. On the Grandpa Simpson thing.
I don't know how we top that one.
Patrick, thank you so much for taking us back to 1989 and probably 1988 when you filmed UHF and going to the premiere and your really awesome career. We really appreciate you chatting with us. And, hopefully the next Weird Al movie we'll all be in it together in a scene with Michael McKean getting water thrown in our faces.
Wouldn't that be something? Yeah. What a way to go out.
Thank you so much, Patrick Thomas O'Brien, for joining us. It was so exciting to hear all about UHF and, of course, your time on Saved by the Bell.
Hey, maybe with his experience playing Satan, Patrick could portray a certain comic shop in a one-man show about bad faith business practices.
I said, gotta pass. But this episode is brought to you in part by Discover Darwin, promoting tourism in Darwin, Minnesota. Not only is historic Darwin, Minnesota beautiful, it's also got lots of options.
While you may be tempted to order David's Pizza Rolls when you visit Troubles Number 2 in Darwin, Minnesota, might we suggest a second option?
What? No second option. They have to order my pizza rolls. It's the only way to be Weird Al adjacent.
I know what you're thinking. And don't worry, the pizza rolls are not the only Weird Al adjacent menu item. Let me introduce you to the Reuben Burger.
The Reuben Burger? Don't you mean the Reuben?
Coming in at only $10, the Reuben Burger is topped with sauerkraut, 1,000 island dressing, and Swiss cheese.
That sounds an awful lot like a Reuben. And sauerkraut? Really? I thought you hated sauerkraut.
Be sure to order the burger El Maestro style if you want the waitress to compare you to Nazis and tickle your ivories.
Wait. Why would anyone want that?
The Reuben Burger is served with homemade chips, but for just $2 extra, you can upgrade them to the New Guy fries.
I'm looking at the menu right now, and it absolutely positively does not say that. Plus, it clearly says Reuben.
So visit Darwin, Minnesota on your next lunch ordering expedition. Discover Darwin, more than just the twine ball. And after you visit Darwin, Minnesota, be sure to attempt to visit www.discoverdarwin.biz.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast is brought to you absolutely free thanks to our incredible sponsors, Burrito, Wizard Burger, our very own Jackson Scoggins, Discover Darwin, and our very own Kenneth Crazy Ken Gwinnett. Our podcast is also supported by everyone else in our Patreon family, with special thanks to our very own close personal friend level Patreon supporters, including Ron, Adriana, Banana Yugovich, Zeb, Yanko Chick 38, Weird's Dream Date Nancy, Scotto Brothers, Allison, Blair, Matt T, Ajax, Javier, Kev Mezick, Zach Casper, Devlin, Dana B. and Beaker, UH Jeff, Casey Killingsworth, and also thanks to Matt's Wood Turning, Richard Green, Dustin Jablonski, Casey, Jake Larson, and everyone else in our pretty stinking majestic Patreon family.
If you enjoy our 100% improvised Weird Al podcast, as heard in the Weird Al Yankovic Story commentary track, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/2000inch. There are awesome benefits like getting your name read on the podcast, your own private RSS feed, which gives you early access to each and every bonus episode, and the self-satisfaction of doing something important with your otherwise pitiful, meaningless existence. Also, don't forget to check out our official merchandise over at shop.2000inch.com. All proceeds from purchases go directly towards supporting our fine podcast.
Plus, we love hearing from our listeners and other Weird Al fans, so be sure to join our Facebook community over at group.2000inch.com and visit our Discord server for even more riveting Weird Al and Red Rump the Goody related conversations. You can find both of them linked on our website, as well as information about past episodes and guests over at 2000inch.com or weirdalpodcast.com.
Keep up on new episodes, podcast news, and events by following at 2000inch on Facebook, Threads, and Instagram. And be sure to subscribe everywhere you listen to podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. Not only does subscribing help the podcast, you also won't have to wear pants on your next Zoom call. We guarantee it.
Plus, we absolutely love it when we receive voicemail via our official patent-pending 27-hour-a-day podcast hotline, 347-SPATULA. That number is 347-772-8852. It spells spatula, really. Give it a call or a text, and you might even hear your message in a future episode.
Thank you once again to Patrick Thomas O'Brien for joining us on this episode. We'd also like to thank Chris Schott, Joe Bohannon, William King, Isaiah Ferguson, Satan, Mr. Dewey, Chad Kelson, a.k.a. Metal Al, our very own UH Chef New Sarah, our very own Kenneth Gwinnett, and our very own Claire Walsh. Thank you to the Grammy Award-winning Jim Kimo West for our incredible podcast theme song. And thank you to Weird Al Yankovic, as this podcast probably would not exist without him. Also, thank you to John Bermuda Schwartz, Steve J., Ruben Valtierra, Jay Levy, and the irreplaceable Joe Jaffa. And a big thank you to all of you, our loyal listeners, subscribers, Patreon supporters, and sponsors, and everyone else who makes our podcast possible. Thank you for choosing Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast. And until next time, remember to gill and chill, keep listening to Weird Al, and stay cheesy. All right, so now that it is 2025, is there anything in particular that you are looking forward to? Yeah, my computer?
Your computer? You're getting a new computer?
No, I'm not getting a new computer.
Then why would you say it?
I don't know. You made me nervous.
I thought I was tossing you a softball.
No playing around the computer.
Well, honestly, I kind of thought you'd answer that you'd be looking forward to Weird Al's giant, exciting, bigger and weirder tour.
Why would I look forward to that?
Well, because it's very exciting that Weird Al is doing a big tour.
Well, yeah, of course it's exciting, but what does the direction that I'm looking have to do with that?
That was Dave Neathan's 2008 Weird Al podcast, episode 251-inch.
That was a triple positive.
Weird Al once threw a glass of water in my face.